Hi everybody, in today's video we're going to take a look at how to connect the RG-2000 gateway to the radio server configurator. For this demonstration we are using version plus 9.14.100. It's going to apply the same settings to enterprise version. And also we are going to connect Mototrbo base station to the gateway.
Okay, first, let's review the radio code block, our control stations or base stations. Let's go to general settings, and we are going to need the radio ID. Please take note of the radio ID because we are going to need the radio ID on the radio configuration. Also, go to accessories and cable type. Select real PC and audio. You keep going down, go to network, forward to PC by default is gonna be disabled. Please select by USB. Don't do any ARS and radio ID. Leave it in blank. And please don't do any settings on control station. That's gonna be for different applications. On the radio sounds and channels configuration, please pay attention on your configurations. On my case, on one is on position one. Um, be aware some of the configuration. Sometimes we found configuration where the channel pool is in zone one. So we are gonna program the radio configurator in the same way how you program your radio. I'm gonna select position one, zone one, and I'm gonna program the radio configurator with all the channels that I program on my radio. On this radio, I program the first channels as an analog channel just for testing. The second channel is a point-to-point direct channel, and the rest of the channels are different radio configurations like IP side connect or digital through a standard repeater, capacity plus, link capacity plus channels. Now that we confirmed our radio code block, let's take a look on the RG-2000 manuals. Over here we can see how is the front of the unit, and also let's take a look on the back on the unit. Please remember on the end installation, the final installation, we got the ground connector over here. Please don't forget to ground the RG-2000 with the radios, power supplies, and the chassis of the installation. It's a good ground between all the devices. This point, just please connect all the cable. This is going to be for the power cable between the unit and the power supply. The next two connectors are cable interfaces between the radio and the gateway. We don't have any connectivity on the USB. And the last one is the Ethernet connector. You can see we got the speeds allowed on this network connectivity. You can connect the direct cable from the RG-2000 to your computer to get the first configuration, and also you are going to be able to connect the RG-2000 to the switch or router in your lab or company. Remember that we don't have any more, or we don't have for this model any software to do the configurations like the RG-1000. For this unit, all the configuration is going to be through the browser. So that let us go to the web connections. Okay, on our browser, we are going to look for the default IP address for the unit. Is this IP address is 192.168.10.10, and the login credential is going to be admin. Okay, now let's do the configuration on our computer to connect to the RG-2000. Okay, now power on the units, the radios, and remember connect all the cables. And now let's see the configuration on this computer. Let's take a look at the IP address. If I do IP configs, I can see that this computer is using just one network card and it's on the 192.168.1.101. If we try to get connectivity for the RG-2000, it's not going to be possible. There are different subnets. Let's do a ping command just for testing. So 192.168.10.10, that's the IP of the gateway. And over here we can see there is no any reply from the units. It's because we are not in the same segment. Okay, now we are gonna, we got two options. You can configure your computer with the same subnet. Remember to use a different IP address. Don't use exactly the same .10.10. It's gonna be IP config. It's gonna be conflicts on the IP addresses. And also you can add a different IP address on your the same network card and kit with the one .101 and add a new one. For that procedure, we are gonna do it in this way. You can do this command, November Charlie Papa Alpha dot Charlie Papa Lima, and click enter. We can see over here we are using just one network card. Maybe you got a different ones. Just select the one that you are using it. Go to properties, IPv4. I'm gonna set a static IP address. That's the IP address that I was receiving for the HTTP server. So let's do 192.168.1.101, and the gateway was 192.168.1.1. 192.168.1.1. On the DNS, I'm gonna use the same gateway, and we go to advanced, and now we are gonna add the segment of the RG-2000, 192.168.10. Remember to use a different IP address at the end. So for my example, I'm gonna use 99. Click add, click OK, and close. The network is gonna refresh with a new IP address, and let's take a look. The same commands, ipconfig. So we can see that we stayed on the 192.168.1.101, and also we got the segment 192.168.10.99. Let's run a pin to the unit, and now we get the reply from the RG-2000. Okay, now that we got the IP connectivity, let's open the browser, and we are going to type the IP address of the gateway, 192.168.10.10, and it's asking for the login credential. By default, it's admin. Okay, now that we are on the web interface of the unit, I want to point this green light or green color on the user device connectivity. That means it's already connecting to the RG-2000 is detecting the Mototrbo radio connectivity. Okay, before to go to that settings, let's review again the first page. We got over here has to be in this color the connectivity for the donor radio, and this part on the bottom is gonna be the connection to the radio server. If you wanna check the version on your units, it's gonna be the firmware version that I'm using is this 1.05.02. Okay, let's take a look on network. On network, we got the two interfaces. The first one, how you can see is you can see the image is a personal computer. This is the interface for the web browser. You can change the IP address later. If you want to change it to a different IP address, you can do it. And also the gateway. If we go in the second interface, I programmed this IP address by myself, 192.168.182. That's the IP address that I'm going to use from my radio get, uh, radio server to connect to the radio gateway. And I'm selecting the gateway 192.168.1. Over here, please select if you are going to use the gateway as a server or client. By default is server, and also pay attention the IP, the ports numbers that you are going to select by default is 30,010. For my demonstration, I'm going to use 30,012 for control, and also for audio the same port. And user device, I'm using version 2 because I'm using the last SmartPTT Plus version, and I'm selecting Mototrbo connectivity. When you select Mototrbo connectivity, it displays all the ports that we are going to use for different users. And also, please pay attention to the audio coder. This option has to match exactly the radio server configuration. Over here, you are going to select the different models of radios. You can click over here, and the options, they are going to be changing. And also, you can go here and select different configurations. So again, this demonstration, we are going to select Mototrbo radio. Now let's take a look at the radio server configuration. Again, I'm using the version plus 9.14.100. If you are using one of these new versions and you already installed, it's a fresh installation, please go first to client connectivity and generate the certificate. This is the demo, and I'm using the monitoring option. I create the database just at the end to see the topology. We go to System now, and Remote Adapters. Click with the right side of the mouse, Add, and we got the options for RG-2000 and RG-1000. So let's do RG-2000. Let's go back to the left side and add now a remote Mototrbo control station. Enable it. You're going to be able to change the name. Over here, we need to set the IP address, and which IP address is going to be. You go back again to network, and it's going to be this IP address. So 192.168.1.82. And the port, I'm using 30,012. Okay, that's the control port. I'm gonna leave everything local, like automatic detect the audio port. And over here, the radio ID has to be the same radio ID that you program your control station. 64 to 50. We can confirm. 64 to 50. Over here, you can leave it in channel free, or you can select always for your control station. Now we go for the toll groups. On my radio configurations, I select to toll group for the digital. It was like ID 10 and ID 20. One recommendation at this point, we are going to use these control stations And I already programmed the channel 1 as an analog system. For that, the recommendation is add all calls. Okay. Again, I'm adding the all call. It's good also for digital, and it's gonna be needed for the analog channel that I program on my control station. Now we go to channels, and remember that I got 8 channels on my control station. Okay, that's the 8 channels. The first was analog, and the rest are digital channels. Remember to go to songs, and we were talking before, and confirm that like song one is on position one in the channels. Okay, that's why over here, song number one is at the position one, and also the channels in the same way. Over here, my first channel is analog, and the rest are digital. Remember, you can place any name on the radio configurator. My second channel is a direct channel, point to point, and I'm using over here the talk group number 10. I know the configurations in my radio, and I know the rest of the channels. I select the specific tool groups per each channel. Okay. Over here, you can let the system know when you turn on the radio what is going to be the home channel. It's up to you if you want to do it or no. If you want the system to turn on the radios all the time, channel 2 is going to be the main channel, or you want to leave it like that. In the audio quarter, remember the has to match over here on the user device. I'm using ULO, and it's the same quarter over here. On the new versions of the SmartPTT, um, go to profiles. Okay, we are gonna need profiles all the time now, and you can see this option, remote control station. We need to enable. Please expand all the options and double check you are allowed to do everything that you want. Also go to available options and enable everything. Be aware on these options for some reason is disabled by default. If you want to request GPS, please enable it. Over here on the system, you can see that we got the option to like transmit analog and all calls. And remember to enable, you're going to use all the toll groups. Click save, and we are going to do a good restart. Let's go to activity just to confirm the network connectivity or the system connectivity. Let's go back on the RG-2000, and we need to see the connections on this IP address. And let's restart the radio server. Okay, now you can see that the RG-2000 is telling us that it's getting the connection, it's the green light, and also on the radio server, we can see that the remote control station is connected. Okay, for the final visual confirmation, the connectivity, we can open the topology on the monitoring section, and we can see the RG-2000 and the radios are all connecting. Everything is in green light. And we go to channel, we can test the RG-2000. It's in the channel 1, it's at the analog system. Radio maintenance test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Okay, now I'm gonna transmit from the radio to the console. Radio maintenance test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. So we are testing analog system. We can switch the gateway to the second channel, was a digital channel. I'm gonna switch my radio. Radio maintenance test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. And we can transmit from the console to the radio. Radio maintenance test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3.